He's the man, he's the myth, he's the legend, he's the scientist with all the answers to all the questions. It's time for another episode of Alex's Science Corner.
Thank you. No, please. Thank you.
What's going on in the wide, wide world of science, my friend?
Can I just say before you begin, welcome back. I really missed you last week. I missed both of you last week.
Aww.
But I really missed Science Corner.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. So, the story this week is astronomers have found some of the earliest galaxies, and they're really, really far away. They're about 11 to 12 billion light years away. Now, one of the challenges in finding these particular galaxies is you can't see them with normal visible light telescopes like the Hubble. They can't be spotted with the Hubble. Hubble has done some really long distance pictures called the Hubble Deep Field pictures, which Hubble would spend days and days looking at what they had thought was an empty patch of sky, and they find that these empty patches of skies are actually filled with galaxies also. These galaxies are so far away that Hubble can't see them.
So how did they see them?
Well, I was about to explain that.
Good.
So the reason why Hubble can't see them is because Hubble has to look in visible light. It can look in a little bit into the ultraviolet spectrum and a little bit into the infrared. As the galaxy is expanding, and the galaxy is expanding, light that passes through the expanding space starts to change its wavelength. And so the light starts to leave the visible spectrum and move into the infrared and eventually into the radio spectrum. And so these galaxies are so far away that the expanding space has shifted their light away from visible light into the infrared and into the lower radio wavelengths. And so what they had to use is radio telescopes to find these galaxies.
I didn't realize there was such a thing.
Oh, well, we've got a lot of them. You've probably seen that picture of the giant radio telescope that was in Puerto Rico, the ASCEp093 radio telescope. It was inside this crater, and it's this giant thing surrounded by hills. It's a giant dish. If you've ever seen some big science fiction movies, but these particular galaxies were found by the Atacama 7mm array, or the ALMA telescopes, which are in Chile. And this is a vast array of radio telescopes. And we have several of these arrays also in the United States, but this is a big one for the European Space Agency.
Contact, the movie Contact,
yes,
showed...
They were standing underneath the ASCEp093 radio telescope in the movie Contact.
I'm thinking of the array. They had all these.
Yes.
Those were.
That was the array. That big giant dish that you saw in that movie.
The number of dishes. There were a number of dishes.
There's two. The one that you saw at the beginning of the movie, it was a different one in the United States.
Okay.
And then there's another one where she's in Puerto Rico for the ASCEp093 radio telescope.
Is that Jodie Foster?
Yeah,
yes,
Jodie Foster. Okay.
But at the end, I think she's underneath a whole mess of them. So
right, but that's different. That's a different radio telescope. That's not the one in. They do both.
Okay, so that's the only one I remember. We're also the ending scene where and they've got rows of these.
There's 3 scenes, but I'll go on to that.
Right, but I'm saying I only remember. And anyway, go ahead.
Back onto the actual story that I'm trying to talk about, Bobby.
Well, I was trying to picture. I'm trying to picture these.
Here, let me give you a picture so I can go on with the rest of the story, Bobby.
Thank you.
So anyway, they were able to use these radio telescopes to find these active galaxies. One of the things that made it spot these galaxies is the stars in the galaxies are making the dust in the galaxies glow. And that is emitting the radiation, and that is how they're being able to spot them using the radio telescopes. And one of the things they are learning is that these galaxies are much larger than they expected these galaxies to be from this time. So they're really surprised at how large these are and how active they are. They were expecting to find smaller galaxies because what they expected is small galaxies to come together and form larger galaxies, but they weren't expecting to have large galaxies this early after the Big Bang. They're expecting a bunch of small galaxies, but they're finding these large galaxies. And so that is the major story about that and the fact that they're finding these galaxies that they had not seen before.
Okay, so in the picture, the second picture here, they got 1, 2, 3, 4 all numbered. Is each picture a galaxy?
Yes, in that picture.
Okay, so there's more than one galaxy that
they found. I think it was 17.
Where's the source for the pictures in case folks want to take a look?
That particular article is
Science
Alert or Science News. And if you go onto the Alex's Science Corner YouTube channel, or if you go to the Facebook page, I do always have the links up on there also. So if you go onto the Alex's Science Corner YouTube channel, the links will be there in a few days.
All right. So if you want to see it yourself.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Any questions now about this? And not about the movie Contact?
Not about the movie Contact.
You got to look at the mischievous schoolgirl over there. What is...
Because there are questions about the movie Contact.
No, I was just fascinated that as far as the movie Contact goes, that they, showed these actual... They got permission to film at these different...
Those are going to be, I don't want to say pretty easy, but, that's...
Plugged in.
There's a lot of, they take a lot of pictures. They want to talk about the science. Unfortunately, most of the time, bad movies will always talk about the Hubble, but that's because that's the only thing that they know about.
That's why I like the Contact so much.
Well, in Contact, the character was kind of based on a real astronomer named Jill Tarter, who's part of the SETI program. And so she's been doing a lot of work with radio telescopes already. And so since they're kind of basing on that, and because the author of the book Contact was Carl Sagan, who's an actual astronomer, there's a lot more science involved in there than you would get on
normally
a B-movie sci-fi. So they had a lot more of that in there. But if you, in the beginning scene and the ending scenes of those movies are going to be at the Arizona telescope arrays.
Okay.
And there's a scene in the middle of the movie that is at the ASCEp093 radio telescope, which is in Puerto Rico.
Okay.
And that is the little more famous one because, again, that's a huge dish that's set between a bunch of hills.
Yeah, so I'm going to have to go back and watch that movie.
Yeah.
I like that movie. It was a good movie.
Was it a good movie?
Yeah, you didn't see it.
No, I haven't seen it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I like the movie.
Okay.
We'll maybe do a movie review as a separate
Contact?
thing.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you have any questions about this science story or anything else science related, you can always contact Alex. Alex, get it? So you can always contact Alex right now.
The jokes don't get any better.
No, they really don't. 203
837
99
24.